credibility, his journey is radically different. Kamani appreciates and shares with listeners that courage is a moment-to-moment choice and not about fame, riches, and acknowledgement. Courage is for everyone, every day. It's how we should live our life. Kamani has transcended the label ex-offender. Prior to his drug conviction, Kamani spent 7 years in the music industry as a member of the company Rough Riders and secured a record deal with Jive Records. Kamani could have let his criminal past stop him, but his perseverance and passion for others opened new doors to success. He worked as a general contractor, a project manager, and a site superintendent for the state of South Carolina on projects such as Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College Science Building, Village of Sand Hill Condominiums, and Spirit Communications Ballpark. His tenacity for life, forgiveness, and hard work has opened many doors for someone who normally would not receive the opportunities to start over again. Kamani's life is a true testimony that second chances do work if we just take the time and give people a second chance, a real second chance, by equipping them with the tools that they need to survive after going through some of life's tragedies. I'm sure everyone in the room know a Kamani, and now we know that there is something in place to help them get back on their feet, to help them get employed, and to even start their own companies. May I present to you Kamani Davis, the CEO of Why Not You Too and Mercy Contracting. Kamani.
Good afternoon, actually. I hope everybody enjoyed their lunch. Get away from this speaker. By show of hands, how many people in here actually own a business? And how many people are looking to own a business? All right, and how many resource people are in here? People that actually provide resources to businesses or individuals. Okay, so I'm going to share my story in the perspective for both because I've been on both sides and try to see if I can explain it. Like I said, my name is Kamani Davis, and I did spend several years in the music industry. My rap name was Casino. I was on DMX's first album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I was on the Rush Hour soundtrack, the Blade soundtrack, the Corruptor soundtrack. I've written rhymes and music for Puff, Eve, Run from Run DMC, done a lot of stuff in the mixtapes. And in the year 2000, I moved to South Carolina and decided to throw away my music career to get involved with selling drugs. In the year 2003, I was arrested in Orangeburg, South Carolina, actually Holly Hill, South Carolina, for possession with intent to sell, and ended up doing 24 months in federal prison. When I came home, having a felony and also being originally from New York and being in a state that I was familiar with because I've been coming down here my whole life, every summer, working in the field, picking peas and corn and peanuts and watermelons in Holly Hill, South Carolina. So I did have a work ethic. I just made some bad choices, which like most people do. I found myself in a situation where it was extremely difficult to find a job because of the criminal conviction that I had. I had to navigate in a place where I didn't know what programs were available. I didn't know where to find assistance. And I moved to Columbia, South Carolina because I didn't want to return to the place where I had previously been incarcerated, so I moved to Columbia for a new start. A lot of the programs like SC Works, Voc Rehab, the small business contracting services were available then when I came home. I just had no idea what they were, and none of the people that I were around knew anything about them either. So my first job when I came home was for $6.50 an hour working in the shipyard. And I was a laborer, and I just took the time and I worked my way up from a shovel and eventually became a foreman and then a superintendent and also a project manager for a company that some people may know, Enviro Ag Science, for a boss, Dr. Lewis Lynn. So as an employer, I want to tell you the risk that he took. So Dr. Lynn not only saw the background, that I had a criminal background on my application, he also did a background check and saw that I had a weapons charge on my record as well. At that point, he could have immediately said, I'm not hiring this guy, because he told me about the drug charge, never told me about the gun charge. He drove to where I was working and said, Kimani, I'm looking at your application, we did the background check, gun charge came up. I told him, Doctor, I promise I don't have a gun charge. I went down the sled and found out that an individual used my name and got for weapons possession charge and ended up using my name, so that ended up on my record. So I was able to get something from them saying that it wasn't me. I know a lot of people will look and make a quick decision when they see it on the application. I know ban the box is now something that we're adopting in Columbia, South Carolina. So I know it's there, but a lot of people will see that check on the box, the employer's here, and say, I'm not gonna take a chance on somebody who has a criminal background. I wanna say, I know I'm standing here as somebody who has one, who's been able to be successful. I had a lot of great opportunities while working with Dr. Lynn. Some that I never would have imagined would be possible for somebody with a criminal background. I mean, I've done construction work on Camp Lejeune Marine Base, Fort Jackson Army Base, Fort Benning, Fort Bragg, places where if you go about my background, that's not supposed to happen. But what I will say is, when Dr. Lynn asked me, why should I hire you? The only thing that I could tell him would be the same thing I would tell anybody here. I know what my past looks like. But if you give me one opportunity, I promise you won't regret it. A lot of the people that may sit down in front of you with that criminal background just want an opportunity. And like I said in the video, most people, if given the opportunity to do something different from the negative path they chose, if instead of going to those people and saying, you're doing wrong, you're gonna go to jail, this is where your life is leading, if one or somebody was to say to that individual, instead of doing that, let me show you how to do construction, or let me show you how to do trucking, or let me show you a business opportunity, something else that you can do, most people would choose to do something other than the lifestyle that they live. I do now my nonprofit organization. I own a construction company, but my nonprofit organization is called Why Not You To Me. We do job and life skill development for people with barriers to employment. That's not just formerly incarcerated, but that's also prior military, people with disabilities, youth at risk. And what we do is, one, we do construction training to teach them a skill and a trade in a career field that's more accepting of the background that they may have. We also do life skills where we do anger management, PTSD training to help them to be able to cope in work environments. That's me, that's my heart, that's my passion. And some people here may feel that way, and be passionate about changing the lives of some individuals. But I'm going to tell you how, as a business owner, the programs that's available don't just allow people who have a heart for it, but it allows people to save money and grow their business. Unlike some of the people who decided to start a business because you wanted to make money or you wanted to do bigger things, I started a business because the company I was working for moved to Atlanta. I just had a daughter. I wasn't moving to Atlanta. It was move to Atlanta or get laid off. So when I got laid off, I made the decision that it was too difficult for me to find another job. I'll just create one. So, but starting a business, especially a construction one, financially is very difficult for most people. And funding is an issue, and I know that there's a lot of guys in here that do help with funding, so y'all don't let them sneak out of here without talking to them about money. But what I was able to do is use a lot of the same programs that helped me get a job to help build my business. And I'm gonna talk about some of them. So SC Works, and you heard about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. That is an opportunity, not just, don't look at it as taxes being given back. That's dollars going back in your pocket. That's no difference as a business owner when you save the receipt so that you change the earned income that you have so that you pay less money in taxes. That tax credit is the same thing. When I sit down in interviews and talk about these two things in particular, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and also the federal bonding program, a lot of guys just don't know how to explain it to you. But as a business owner, if I sat down in front of you and said, I know you may have some trepidation. Yeah, I use big words when I got the suit on. The words get big. About hiring me when you know I have a criminal background. But what if I was to tell you that the Work Opportunity Tax Credit would put dollars back into your pocket for hiring me as a person with a criminal background? If the job that you're offering me is $30,000 and the tax credit that's available to you is $5,000, hiring me is a $25,000 cost to you this year. Hiring somebody else is a $30,000 cost to you this year. That tells somebody that hiring me impacts your bottom line in a positive way. If I don't know how to be vocal and explain that, then it's difficult for me to influence your decision. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to influence your decision before you have the job interview. So you can already be thinking about these things when the guy sits in front of you. So the federal bonding program, like she said, it provides an insurance coverage for you just in case somebody commits fraud, steals. That's the first thing that would come to my mind if somebody sat in front of me is, what if you do something wrong while you're working for me? Well, there's a federal bond in place that will protect and provide an insurance coverage to you just in case that happened, you'll have a means to recover the money. So you start to explain these things and now a person can look at it different. Now I just saved you money, but I also provided you with a way to protect yourself. But then we can go further. Also, there's a program through Voc Rehab where if you do hire me, any equipment that's needed for me to complete this job, I can get that equipment for free, so it won't cost you anything. Or as a person with a disability, if I need a special computer because my fingers don't work the same way or because I'm in a wheelchair, Voc Rehab will pay for that equipment so that I can work for you and provide you with the service. Or, right now, the WIOA program, which is through SC Works, provides two different programs. One is called the Transitional Work Experience Program, which is for people who have been formerly incarcerated. As a business owner, that program will pay up to 3 months of that individual's salary and keep them under their insurance while they work for you. So if you ask me how I grew my business from having myself and 2 employees to now having 37 employees, that's how we did it. So what we did was we went to SC Works and we said, okay, give us 2 guys, we'll take them on, and we'll put them with 2 guys who have experience. And we used those 3 months to train those guys in the systems that we had. And when they were finished, we had 4 guys. And then we went back to SC Works and Goodwill and said, if y'all give us 2 guys apiece, we'll train them and teach them. And those 4 guys taught their 4 guys the same thing, and now we had 8 guys. And this is how we grew our business without having the funding to do so, which is the same programs that's eligible for every business owner in here. The difference is, yesterday you may not have known about these programs, today you do. So now as a business owner or as somebody seeking employment, it is your job now to take the little bit of information that you're getting here, research that information and use it to grow your business. There is a lot of programs, funding, loan programs out here that can help you be successful in your business growth. It's just your job to take advantage of it. I'm here speaking as somebody who was formerly incarcerated. I started my program because my brother, who came home after me, got a job, checked the box saying that he never had a criminal background. 6 months later, they background checked him, found out he had a background, and sent him home. He couldn't find a job. He went back to Holly Hill, South Carolina. In 2012, he was murdered during the armed robbery. I'm not asking you to try to save somebody's life. What you do and your decisions to hire somebody who is in the category that we call having a barrier to employment or a disadvantaged job seeker may actually save somebody's life. But I'm here today to tell you these programs and the people in here today with these programs, take advantage of them. Because they may not save somebody's life, but they'll certainly save you some money. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had something.
Tell them to hold the questions until the panel.
Because it's going to
be on construction.
Very good.
Okay.
Goods and services.
But I'll be here for a little while if y'all.
All right, you just heard from my dynamic duo who will now take over and they're going to give me a break. Have you learned anything yet? Are you glad you came here? Good.
Okay. Those are some big shoes to fill. Let's give a round of applause to Dr. DeCosta. Isn't she awesome? She's a great leader and a great teacher, and she really cares. So we appreciate all that she do for South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs and the state of South Carolina. So we're going to move this a little further. We're going to have panel discussion now. This is where you get involved. This is your opportunity to take advantage of our participants, our panelists, and ask them questions. Okay, we have a great lineup for you.
My name is Amador Rivera. Originally from Mexico. Own a company named Alpha C Inc., which owns 3 companies: Alpha Painting, Alpha Property Solutions, and Alpha Construction.
Very good. Next.
Hi, my name is Sharon Brown. I'm here from Bluffton, South Carolina. My business is World System Builder. I am a financial educator. Does everybody out here work hard for their money? Yes. Small business owners, you guys get a lot of capital for to start up your business. Well, I'm here to share with you some tools and some concepts on how to think about what you probably wouldn't think about on how to start saving money for your retirement, for your wealth, in case you get sick and you can no longer sustain your business. Where would that money come from? Thank you so much.
Good morning. I have the mic because I can hardly speak. My name is Lucinta Lewis Ellis. I am a licensed general contractor in the state of South Carolina. Our office is located in Columbia, and we perform general construction and contracting, facility maintenance and support, and also project and construction management, mostly for commercial construction, K through 12. So we renovate and help build schools, and we also provide facility support for schools and commercial properties. And then we manage construction projects, whether it be a $500 project or a $50 million project. And also this year we started LLE Consulting Group, and what we do is we help do outreach for SWIMBs, that's small women and minority contractors. So we're developing programs to help minority contractors get into the federal government space. Thank you.
Well, since you gave a presentation, what we'll do is with those three, we'll go through their origins and how they got started and what were their obstacles. Then we'll start the conversation and we'll get questions about what they wanted to ask you after your first presentation. Okay, so Amador, how did you get started and what were your obstacles?
Okay, I started the company, the painting company 20 years ago. And one of the things that I want to tell everybody here, every person that I've seen stepping out of, in front of you, I've seen like one pattern in everyone, which is passion. You have to be passionate for what you do, otherwise you're wasting your time. You have to, because you're gonna encounter roadblocks. You're gonna encounter somebody's gonna tell you no, you can't do this. Somebody's gonna, or you're gonna find a bunch of paperwork that you need to fill out. So you need to make sure you feed yourself and you take that pill every morning. And you pray, say like, hey, I'm gonna be passionate on what I'm doing, because otherwise I'm not gonna succeed on what I'm doing. So 20 years ago when I started my company, I didn't have what we're having right now. I didn't have the tools. So the persons who are making this happening, nobody was helping. So I look around and I remember I had to pay some skill pass seminars. Because there were seminars all over the place. So I have to drive all over to Columbia, Raleigh, Jacksonville, Savannah, to take some seminars, because there was nothing around here to help me on my business. So it's great when Nate Pringle called me like, hey, you want to help? I said, sure, why not? Because I want to help anybody who wants to get help. And another thing I want to tell you guys is, if you don't know much about what you're doing, get help. I don't know anything about accounting. I don't want to know. I don't want to know, and it's not my forte. So what I do is I hire an accountant. I don't know anything about law, so that's why I have my attorney. I do what I do. I'm passionate about my business and selling and meeting with people and doing construction and painting and all that stuff. Not in law. So that's what I have my attorney. That's what I pay the guy to get me out of trouble. And the same thing with the accountant. So don't try to do everything in your own, because you're gonna make mistakes. So get help. These guys, what I'm seeing, these guys, they want to help you. I mean, I was hearing when they were talking about, what they do. I mean, they want to help you. So get the phone, call them like, hey, I want to succeed on my business. So do it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Brown?
Yes. So I am a financial educator, and what does that mean? That means about 7-8 years ago, I had created a lot of debt. Didn't know who to go to, lived paycheck to paycheck, I was paying the minimal fee on the credit card. I had already swiped $5,000 worth of credit card expenditures, and they send you that statement, you can pay $25 a month. Oh, it sounds good, not knowing, by not having the lack of knowledge, knowing that $25 wasn't even gonna dent anything. So 25 times 12 months, you can do the math. I had not penetrated through any of that. And the money kept building up. So actually $5,000 worth of debt, I ended up paying $10,000 because of the lack of knowledge. Now, a lot of us out here, we're living paycheck to paycheck. We work hard for our money, but we also don't seek the financial education that we could receive. I'm with World System Builder. I'm my own business owner. And so what do? We go around and we educate people financially. Have you ever thought about what age would you retire? Retirement is not a 65 age. That's just Social Security. You don't have to retire at 65. You can retire at any age you want to, but how do you get there? So you have to pick an age, but also you have to pick a money amount that you want to be paid each month. And that's how you start building that mindset, well, this is what I'm going to do. Also, increase your debt, get out of debt. I started getting out of debt, but I wasn't doing it simultaneously by saving money as well. So I spent 5 years getting out of debt, 5 years of not saving anything. We should always pay ourselves first. I'm a firm believer. I don't want to offend anybody, but I pay God first, then you pay yourself. Because without him, how could you have any money? So you pay yourself something. Don't just go around just spending and then try to save, because it's not going to work. So we offer free financial workshops. Every Saturday in Savannah, we go to homes, we go to churches. We just came back from Columbia. I have my business partners over there, where we educate people anywhere that they want to become educated. Now, one gentleman said, a lot of people get caught up. We don't want to help one another. Or the person, this gentleman here, he was arrested. Well, I have a background as well, and it's not a good one. But you know what? I don't get caught up on where I was. We should be looking toward where the people are headed and what they have to offer. So we got to get past worrying about what somebody did but what they have to offer you. So what we do is we have a book called Saving Your Future. Anybody in here know about the rule of 72? Okay, so if we know about the rule of 72, it is that whatever interest rate that you're getting on your money, you divide it by 72, it'll tell you how many years it's going to take your money to double. We know inflation is 3.5% every year. That dollar dwindles every year. So what you paid for $1 this year here, you will not pay next year. But how do we keep ahead of that? We need to be moving ahead of inflation and getting some tools and some accounts that will beat inflation, that you could put your money, that you would get at least up to 12% on your money. Are there places like that? Yes, they are. But who's going to tell you? The bank's not going to tell you. They're going to tell you, yeah, come on, open an account. You can get insurance as well, dismemberment insurance. You can get all type of insurance except one that will pay you cash in return, that will help you build wealth. So we're here to help you guys think about building generational wealth. You want your money to outlive you. You do not want to outlive your money. You see people at Lowe's, Home Depot, and also Walmart. What do you think those greeters are doing? They did not plan properly. Nobody wakes up in the morning time saying, I plan to fail. They fail to plan because of the lack of knowledge. We are not educated on how we can start saving our money to build wealth. And that's what I am here for. I got out of debt, came into this organization. I'm my own business owner, and nobody's going to pay you what you're worth except yourself. All a small business owner, that's why you go into business, so you can pay yourself what you're worth. So if you can afford to become a small business owner, do it. But all these resources that you have, also get the information. It's free. And let's help one another. Let's stop the barrier. We got to come together as one. Even if you don't like me, get to know me, and maybe you will love me. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so I own LLE Construction Group. I have a degree in architectural engineering. So when I went to school, I learned how to do more design. And my first job was at the University of South Carolina. Mind you, I want to put one thing in perspective for you. I am an African-American female in construction in South Carolina. That's right. Some of you might say, well, what exactly does that mean? So when you ask about the challenges, just coming from that environment, my first job, I was the only black female in the department. And the guys, they always gave me a hard time, but I loved it because it made me learn my job. And it made me learn and get the knowledge I need in construction. So when I am on a site, you will not question my knowledge in construction. So I'll tell you, I so agree with the passion. I was very passionate about designing buildings, but then when I learned that my designs turned into actual constructible buildings, I fell in love with construction. And so from that, I just started getting jobs that would put me in that space, whether it was facility maintenance or managing buildings. I just started doing that. And also, I started building relationships in construction because in South Carolina, unfortunately, we do have a good old boy system. And if you're not a part of that, it's very challenging to even get contracts or work. So I had to, it was a lot of work to get there, but because of the relationships that I built, I was able to start my own business. So very briefly, in 2011, January 2011, I lost my job. I was fired, and I never understood why, but I wasn't going to harp on it either because I knew that I had the skills and knowledge set and the education to do what I was doing. So I launched my company, LLE Construction Group, like Kimani. I decided I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. I wanted to go out and do it myself. So we've been in business, this is our 8th year. By my 3rd year in business, we grew to over $1 million in 3 years. And so this is the part, I tell you that for this reason. A lot of us go in business because we know our discipline. We know what we're doing, whether we're in masonry, sheetrock, or painting. We go in because we're skilled at a trade, right? But a lot of times we don't know business. So once I hit $1 million, I was like, oh Lord, I need to find out more about really running a business. So I started going through different fast track programs. We were accepted into the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. I was one of the first in the state of South Carolina to go through that program in Boston, Massachusetts. But it gave me the tools to understand my money, understand my financials, understand my business, and really understand my industry. And so he mentioned earlier that we need to have that knowledge when we go into construction. It's so very important. And not only knowledge in your industry, but also in business and how to operate a business, how to read your P&L, how to look at your financial statements and really know what your numbers are saying. If you don't know what your numbers are saying in business, then you do need a CPA, yes. But you also need to know what is going on with your financials because it helps you make better financial decisions for your business. And so, because of all I've gone through, it's caused me to be a better business owner, and not only in construction, but just in business. And I guess I need to stop right there.
No, you're doing fine.
Okay, now we're going to open up the floor to questioning. We're going to start the dialogue section. Giving preference to anyone who has any questions from Kimani's presentation earlier.
Don't be so shy. Come on, y'all.
If you have a paper, just hold it up. Okay.
Don't be shy.
How do you pronounce your last name again?
Gagan.
Okay. Alan Gagan has a question, and he's representing Media Network LLC. And the question is from Kimani Davis. And it is, why didn't you continue working in the music industry rather than pursuing contractual projects in South Carolina?
Well, man, that one is less difficult than it seems. I actually stopped in the music business because the lifestyle that I lived in the music business was very similar to the one that I lived when I was doing criminal activities, illegal pharmaceuticals, or whatever you want to go. So I knew that if I put myself back in that environment where everything was about money and everything was about fame, that I didn't stand a real chance of escaping what I was in. Like I had I knew I had enough. It wasn't, that 24 months broke me. Like, I realized that's not where I needed to be. I never had to do it in the first place, and that's all I needed to know, that I needed another path. That, and if I would have went back to music, it would have been just the same as going back to selling drugs.
Thank you very much. I think you had a question. You had a question earlier, right? Yeah, you want me to say it over here?
While he's writing his question, Jacinta, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How difficult has it been as a woman, not just African American, but as a woman, to get into the construction field?
Well, when I first, first of all, I went to school to learn construction because when I was in college, my mom lost her home to a foreclosure. And I wanted to learn how to build her a house. That was the only reason why. So I ended up going to Midland's Technical College and going into the architecture engineering. We learned how to design and build homes and commercial property. And 3 months before I graduated, my mom passed. And so I had to figure out like what I'm going to do next, because that's what drove me. That was my passion, at the time. So to answer your question, I've always had that passion because of that. So when you lead the room with your passion and your knowledge, a lot of times people don't always look at who you are, your color, and your gender. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but there have been opportunities where when I came into the room, because of my knowledge and because of that passion, I didn't feel like I was being stereotyped. Does it exist? Yes, absolutely. But when you lead with that, it changes the conversation. And so being in construction over the years, guys, has been so challenging. I've seen guys get promoted over me. I've seen, we have the same old boss. I used to work at Enviro for 6 years, working on multi-million-dollar projects with Shaw Air Force Base and just a lot of projects. And I've seen them come and go, but it taught me a lesson to be resilient, again, to continue to push myself to be smarter, and to surround myself with people who support me. We have a choice in business who we work with, and we have a choice in business who we surround ourselves with. So because of that, it's just made me, the challenges, they're there, but I always have a positive outlook and don't really look at it as, they don't want to work with me because I'm a black female. I never look at it like that. And I will say, when I started my business, I didn't even apply for a lot of the minority initially certifications and stuff, because I wanted to lead where we're just a good general contracting firm, whether we're black or female owned, we just do really awesome work. And when I led with that, and then I went after certifications, but I didn't want you to hire me because I'm a black female. I wanted you to hire me because we do really good work.
We have a question from George Mungan of SM Enterprises. And funny story, as I was walking around asking people if they had questions, I was asking this brother on the front row, and he was like, no, not me. I didn't have any questions. But Mr. Mungan had this statement. After being in business for 30 years, I feel I need to reinvent myself and start a new business. What are some of the areas I should be interested in that I could begin to look at for a new small business startup? And this is for anybody on the panel. So anybody can start that off.
Can I comment on that?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so I do small business coaching for Richland Library in Columbia. I'm their entrepreneur in residence. And one thing I would say, when you would start a business, it really starts with what your passion. It really does. Because if you go into a business and you're not really passionate, all you're concerned about is making money, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work. Because people want to see that you're invested in your business, and that's where that passion comes in. So if you've been doing something for the last 30 years, look at what is it that you've enjoyed doing, what is it that people are looking for in the community? Like, whoever asked that question, what have you been doing for 30 years? What was your industry? Whoever asked that, oh.
Community service, hair care, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that's really a personal question, something that you really have to answer for yourself. And the only reason, and they may have a different response. I mean, I went in construction too because it was a necessity. I needed to survive. I needed to feed my family. But I still had that passion for it. But, and I love what you do, so you know how to research your company. Absolutely love the work that you do, painting, drywall, so he has a specialty. So one thing in construction, a lot of people go in it from a specialty, whether you're doing concrete, asphalt, drywall, painting. Kamani and his team does a lot of painting, drywall. He does a lot of residential, but he also knows commercial. So you have to go where your passion is, but also look at where can I really have a feasible and viable business in that. I don't know if that answers your question. Like, I have to sit down and talk to you, you know.
Okay, let me respond a little bit on that one. There is if you look around, there is needs, especially now. There is we don't have enough manpower around here. You're talking about Bluffton, you're talking about Hilton Head, you're talking about Savannah. We don't have enough people. I mean, I need 15 more guys. If you go out there in the field, if you go to a construction site, they need more people to fill their jobs because of there are not enough people to work for the amount of investment there is in Savannah, Bluffton, and Hilton Head. I mean, we're just having a development here, West Margaritaville.
Yeah.
Man, we don't have enough people, and they want to build, 1,000 houses? Where are you gonna get that? I mean, so if you look around, you will see the needs for, that you can make money or maybe fill some of that stuff. So it's really up to you, where you're located. I mean, how far you want to drive for the work that you do. I used to have an office in Savannah. I closed that office. Why? Because I was going crazy between Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Savannah. So for me now, Bluffton and Hilton Head is plenty.
Okay.
May I just say one other thing though? From a financial perspective, it's important, very important, that you financially plan for whatever you're gonna do. Money matters. Money makes the world go round, but also that capital that you will need when you start up a small business. How much will you need? Are you gonna be able to sustain it? Small business owners who probably have 2 or 3 employees, if something were to happen to your business, you health-wise right now, would your business be sustainable? Those are some key factors that you need to think about before you start up a business, any kind of business. Is it going to be sustainable if something happened to me? You look around the world, foreclosures. Financially, we just say, I'm good. But are we really good? Depression. Financial depression is the worst one to go about. When you got your cell phone now, you know the creditors that's calling because it's 866. So so your phone helps you a lot not to answer a call. But why would you want to spend your life not answering a call that you know at the end of the day you're going to have to be responsible for? So it's a serious matter here financially, what's going on in the world, and that you guys think about your business. And will it be sustainable? Do you have that emergency money if something were to happen to you? That's so important. Okay. Thank you so much.
So, now 2 questions I'm going to email Sharon and Kamani these 2 questions from Mia Newkirk and Walter Wheeler. But we're going to end on this final question, which is a really good one. And Nilsi Rapolo has a question for all of you. And the question is, how do you maintain yourself? How do you handle self-care as a business owner?
Okay.
Just anybody jump in.
Well, and I guess I'll jump in because y'all see me over here tapping on my phone because the babysitter said that she got to leave at 1:30. So,
You better get to
so
that.
I'm calling babysitter number 7, trying to get her to relieve babysitter number 1. So I guess that's part of it. I wanted to tell a quick story because I before she tells it, before Cynthia tells it. So my passion obviously is community service like yours, and I really have a passion for helping people who went my path. So for me, the driving force, the thing that motivates me, that keeps me going, and people call it self-care, which obviously I exercise and do those things, but the fuel comes from being able to help other people. So I started my nonprofit organization 6 years ago, and I have filed for my nonprofit through LegalZoom. And they're not here, and I don't really care because they didn't do it for me. So I ended up in Cynthia's office crying because I wanted to do this. Like I was ready, and wasn't nothing gonna stop me. And Commissioner of Minority Affairs is the people who sat down, Cynthia Dodge sat with me, fixed my 501c3 paperwork, and helped me get started. So I want to give them a thank you for that. But outside of that, it's finding the balance. It's finding the balance for the kids, finding the balance for your parents, finding a balance for your friends, and I think that's the difficult part, but it's also, once you have it together, I think that's also the rewarding part, but also involving everyone in the process, involving them in what I'm doing so that my children go with me to work at times so they see what their dad does. So I get to spend time with them and they get to see what I do so I can accomplish 2 things at the same time. So that's how I take care of it.
You can see the passion in him. Just 1 second.
I
You
quit
can hear
talking
the
about
passion. Really bringing him to tears again because he's really passionate about his nonprofit organization. And yes, when he came to me, he was crying. Worse than that, but he was crying. He's trying to be cute right now, but yeah, he was boohoo in tears. And we sat him down and we went through the process and we helped him. But the work started once he received it. Mm-hmm. And when he got that 501c3, he ran with it.
Wow.
He didn't just sat on it and wait for somebody to come bring him something. He took it out into the community. He partnered with different agencies, other nonprofit organizations, and he got funding for his nonprofit organization. He started off, I think, with a fundraising rate, $6,000, his very first try.
Wow.
And after that, he's up to $100,000 right now because he partnered. That's with his nonprofit, not his LLC, his nonprofit organization. So you're looking at a man that's really passionate about helping people also while building his community. So he is a success story. I appreciate everything he do, and he's passionate about everyone. Kids, he hadn't even talked about that. He talked about ex-offenders, but he does a lot for back-to-school book bag. How many kids you helped in Columbia just last month? Over 3,000, I think it was, and growing. And he has the city involved. It's everybody involved with him, his nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
So that's the difference you can tell in the passion and what to choose to do. That's it right there.
Well, I love massages. I love getting my nails done. I mean, you're talking about self-care. But as you can see, I'm hoarse because I've been running and running and running, and it caught up with me. So as an entrepreneur, we always have ideas and new businesses, and oh my gosh, like my brain does not stop. And if you like that, you are truly an entrepreneur. You're always having ideas. So how I take care of myself is I disconnect. First of all, I hire people who can help run my business when I'm not there, because that makes a big difference and it takes a lot of the load off of me in business. And then I go and do not only personal but professional development. I do that to take care of me and to help me build my business. And I also love women retreats. So I take time to go and chill out and don't think about work. That's part of my self-care. And I love massages. Oh my goodness.
That's all you're going on right now.
Yeah, I got one scheduled in 2 weeks. But self-care seriously is really important. And when you're in business, especially as a small business owner, it gets very stressful from a financial standpoint and how you're gonna make payroll, you know, how I'm gonna fund the next project. I just be laughing because you already know. How I'm gonna fund the next project, you know, how am I gonna, it's a lot of stress, it really is. But at the end of the day, for me, it's been worth it because I look at how many people we're able to help. I look at the projects we're able to turn over successfully for our clients. So there is some reward in the end, and hopefully we'll make 15% profit. Self-care is so important as an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll end with you, Mr. Amador, if you want to reply to the question.
Thank you, Nilsi, for the question. She's right. I mean, your mind goes more than 100 miles per hour, and sometimes you don't have the time for it. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you're starting a business, and if you're doing a business and you want to start another enterprise added to it, you have to know that it's going to be time consuming, and you have to be ready for that. I'm not afraid to work 2 hours a day. I'm not afraid to work 16 hours a day. I can do both. I love diving, I love fishing, but there's a time for everything. Right. And I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and because I went diving a few weeks ago. I said last year, I remember I was checking Facebook, and my diver friends were all over the place. And I was just, like, that's it. I was working 16 hours a day in the streets of Savannah. Doing several projects, but I mean, for me, there was a time for work. There was a time to. I have to do it. I have to do it. Now I can take my time and sit with you here and talk about life lessons. But you have to know there is a time for everything. Mm-hmm. So whenever you have the time, go smell the roses. Yeah. Go walk the beach. Yeah. Because there's gonna be some times that you won't be able to do it.
That's right. I got a question for him. Tell him the difference that made you be able to sit here. What did you do differently that made you be able to sit here?
Create a system.
Yeah.
I don't have to be in each of my jobs now. I have supervisors. I have guys who run the jobs. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm sorry. Keep talking. A few weeks ago, I walked into one of the stores of Sharon Williams, and they were talking about me. So I said, well, what's going on? They were laughing, and they called me the godfather of the painting company. So I said, well, what's going on? They said, like, well, we were making like numbers and how many companies got out of your company in the last 20 years. 15 companies are coming out of my company. Painting companies and sheetrock companies, carpentry companies, whatever. And they say 15 companies that they know they've been coming out of my company. And they say, are you upset because they're your competitors now? I said, no, I'm proud.
Yeah, that's right.
Because every guy that works for me, I train them to be independent. I'm training them to. I want to hear what he say. I'm a very what they say. I'm a stubborn guy. But I'm the boss, so I can do that. But I train my guys to be leaders. And I train each one of my guys. I train to be leaders. I'm not training to be, second-hand guys. So I have a woman who been out of my company and they have their own companies. I have guys, and sometimes they come to me, and sometimes they call me like, hey, how do I price this job? I say, dude, I'm pricing the same job too. To get your own information somewhere else. But sometimes I help. It doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
Any time that I can, every time that I can, I sit down with them and, hey, just invite me a coffee or invite me a steak, Take anything that we want from me. Yeah.
All right, give these panelists a hand clap. Presentation on business incubators from Trent Williamson. Thank you.
Another round of applause. If questions weren't asked, we're going to give it to the panelists and they'll email you the answers or get in contact with you.
So Trent Williamson is currently the CEO for the Don Ryan Center for Innovation. And he previously served as the organization's Vice President for Economic Development. Prior to coming here to the Low Country, he worked in the Metro Atlanta area, first for the Cobb Chamber of Commerce, where he developed relationships with the Georgia Department of Economic Development, Georgia Tech, and Georgia's university system. He's passionate about the Low Country and helping business thrive here. So without further ado, I want to welcome Trent Williamson. Well, give him a second while he gets the technology together. In addition to that, he's also worked with Adidas, Papa John's, Mercedes-Benz, Talenti, Gelato, the Atlanta Braves, Porsche, and others in the Metro Atlanta region. Welcome, Trent Richardson.
Thank you. It's funny, I get Trent Richardson way more than Trent Williamson typically, so which is so hard for me to hear as an Auburn grad. So, it's painful. Having the last name Williamson, I'm used to being one of the last people to present today, but this is especially hard because everybody has been awesome before me, and so I feel like I have big shoes to fill. So this has been an awesome day. Just really impressed with everybody so far. An amazing group of speakers so far. I've actually been furiously taking notes because there's so much I've been learning. And if you'll bear with me, I want to share just a couple things that I've heard that I think have been really helpful for me, or I've thought about as I've heard people speak. One being that, especially with entrepreneurship, which is what Don Ryan Center is mostly focused on, of course, is entrepreneurship is about passion and problem solving. And if only a limited group of individuals feel empowered to be entrepreneurs, then only a limited amount of problems are being solved. You have to be passionate to overcome the hurdles, hire and surround yourself with people who are strong where you're weak. And listening especially to the Opportunity Zone talk this morning, I was really interested in hearing about what the definition that people were throwing out of distressed communities. Poor infrastructure and transit, lack of grocery, high crime, no medical options, no jobs potentially, poor or no education, lack of affordable housing, lack of finance or access to finance. I think these are really cool. When somebody asked, where are their job opportunities or where's their entrepreneurship opportunities? I think sometimes we can look no further than our communities of what's lacking to look at opportunities. And I think especially of what city probably is the best definition of this. Might be no offense to Calvin if he's still here, but or Mark, but Detroit. Detroit is a city that was that had a lot of distress in 2008, 2009 after the economic downturn. And three companies really quickly that come to mind that are examples of taking what are perceived problems and looking for entrepreneurship opportunities out of that is one, with closing of GM plants and Ford plants, there was all these machinists, all these CNC experts that were all of a sudden finding themselves out of a job. So a company called Shinola came in and basically said, we can use all these people to build bicycles, to build watches. All these people that need work are now able to be put to work for good use. And now they're a thriving luxury company of making these great products using American great skilled labor. Another is the Detroit Bus Company. People were having a hard time with the lack of transportation and infrastructure available for the community. A guy literally went out and bought buses, and he's taking people back and forth to Detroit, different places that are hubs for employment. Every person who buys a ticket on that bus company pays for a kid to get to school through transportation. And then the last is the huge amount of urban farms that are in Detroit. And so all of these food deserts that unfortunately were all throughout the city, there also is all these empty lots sitting everywhere in the city. People looked at that and said, there's an opportunity there. Let's provide food for our community. And just with all that to say, I think that there's a great opportunity for us to look at what are perceived weaknesses or things that we're lacking and say there's entrepreneurial opportunities there. So with that, problems provide great opportunities for innovation. So that's where I think we'll start, of course, with what we're passionate about, what we do, and that's entrepreneurship through innovation. So representing the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, hopefully you've heard of us if you live around here, but if you haven't, I'm going to try to give you a lot more knowledge of what we provide as a resource right here in Bluffton. So. Oh. Nope. All right, thank you. So, a little bit about what we'll talk about today is just who we are and what we do. So, what is the Don Ryan Center for Innovation? If you ever see DRCI, which is our abbreviation, what do we do? And then what's next for us? What are we looking forward to and doing in the near future? We serve as a focal point for economic development in this region. We're really focused on, and where we really started was through entrepreneurship. We've morphed and kind of merged to become a all-encompassing economic development asset for this community. And really, this is also that we can provide great jobs and a great quality of life for the Bluffton region. So we also want to make sure that we still continue to serve as a destination for innovative companies that want to be here to provide those great jobs and that great investment for Bluffton. So just how we're structured, we have three staff members, Executive Director, VP of Innovation, and a Community and Operations Manager. You'll hear a little bit more about those two folks and a lot of their roles in a little bit, but yeah, just how we're structured. Small font, so you might not be able to read everything, but we have a great board of directors ranging from all industries, really provide a lot of great experience. Many of these also serve as the mentors for entrepreneurs as they go through programs. So we're very fortunate to have a great board of directors that guide us. Town council, of course, supported. This is a town organization, town of Bluffton organization. So a lot of great support from a lot of the faces you'll see in this room. Councilman Wood, Councilman Hamilton are here. I think Councilman Lutz was here and had to potentially leave, and then Town Manager Mark Orlando in the back as well. This is something that we're all passionate about. We know this is a great lead for the organization or for the community to have this resource center here. This is going to be really hard to read, but very quickly, just so you kind of get where we're coming from. We really started as a business incubator, and I'll explain a little bit more of what that is. But in 2012, it was really formed as a Clemson University partnership. And some forward-thinking leaders in our community really just saw that there was a need for entrepreneurial resources to be available. And about the same time, the Bluffton Public Development Corporation was formed really to serve as kind of a traditional economic development organization to really focus on Buckwalter Place and all the activity that's happening out there. How do we get the right kinds of jobs and innovation sort of industries out of that facility? And so I think there was a certainly kind of a merging of the minds that essentially said, we have a really similar mission here. We want to create great jobs, and we want to have technology, innovative companies be part of our fabric of our community. Let's merge those all under the Don Ryan Center name. So that's essentially what that says. Also with the inclusion of that we have a great strategic plan that we're working through. It's pretty ambitious. but there's a lot of really good things that are going to come out of that. And that we have a physical space that I'll tell you a little bit more coming later this year. So a little bit about what we've done. We've helped a lot of companies. We've helped a lot of companies grow from maybe an idea all the way to a going to market, and also with our economic development edition of what we do, we've also helped. Again, we don't take credit for creating those jobs, but we've helped a lot of companies that have been the creator of those jobs, and we're really proud of that. So with that, I think it's important to talk about just what is the life cycle of a business, and you know, this is kind of your standard 5-step of what does a business look like in a life cycle. It's the startup. This is where you have an idea, you've drawn something on a napkin, or you have just a raw idea, and you start working on it. You're probably not making money. You're probably losing money typically because you're pouring in resources to what you're doing. You're developing it. You're getting support that sometimes costs money, and so that's the first step. You're kind of on that first upward climb. Then you're into rapid growth. You maybe have your first phase of investment. You're generating some profit. You're really in a place where you're starting to really climb up high and get into a more comfortable stage, but you're probably not comfortable yet. You're still in that kind of just constantly climbing, grinding mode that many of you probably are very familiar with. So finally, you start to plateau into a mature company where you kind of you're feeling comfortable. You're probably cash positive, but everything is starting to slow down. The growth is slowing down, and ultimately, you're kind of at a pinnacle point in your business where you're either going to decline, and that's what the stage I have here, but ultimately, or it's in reinvention. So this is what it really looks like. You're at that number 1 to number 2 to 3 to ultimately you have to be a rebirth, or it's going to be a death of your company. That could be 40 years, or that could be, it could be really quickly. It could be 2 years, 3 years, so it could be even shorter than that. I think of, for example, Walmart. Walmart is a company everybody thought was invincible for so long. They still are doing very well, of course. But you think about, I think everyone thought they were the untouchable American company. But when Amazon came along, Amazon sort of took away a lot of what Walmart was so good at. So what did Walmart have to do? They had to decide if this was going to be a slow death or if they're going to learn how to do a rebirth. So they bought, and they're starting to acquire companies and kind of reform a lot of their operations to make sure that they can be available for the next 40 years as a company and an American staple of business. So they've acquired Jet.com, a bunch of clothing companies, a lot of, I think they're in the process of acquiring pet companies, pet food companies, and it's all part of that to make sure that they maintain who they are. So what do we do? What does the Don Ryan Center do? We really focus on these main pillars of business and being part of the community. So everything really starts at that entrepreneurship side of what we do. But we also make sure that for entrepreneurs to succeed, you got to have a healthy economy for entrepreneurs to interact with. You have to have a great ecosystem for entrepreneurs to be successful. So do you have the available workforce that you need? Once you get that company up and going, do you have the right kind of people that you can hire so that you can continue to grow? Do you have the right real estate? Do you have the right infrastructure, whether it's internet speeds or the right buildings that support what your business operations need to do? Do you have the right kind of connection points with the community? Do you have people that are with you and supporting you? Because it's a lonely grind being an entrepreneur sometimes. Many of you know that it is really hard to be an entrepreneur. So we're trying to provide some of that community that entrepreneurs can be part of. And then we also, of course, work with a lot of partners to make sure that once you are that successful business, you have a lot of access to state programming, state resources, incentives, community incentives, all of those things to make sure that you're getting what you need to be successful to continue to grow. So those are our main areas of focus, but really focusing on the entrepreneur. So what do this is just essentially saying the same thing, but we really want to create a vibrant business climate. I think this is a really good way of looking at how do we interact with this local Bluffton market. This is all really ambitious, really kind of important things to any community, of course. But I think where we really see ourselves being able to interact and be part of that is at the top with capital investment and jobs. If we interact with that and do that well, and we're supportive of the people that are doing that, then a lot of this is all going to be able to be successful along with that. So that's where we feel like we can make impact. There's a lot of organizations probably in this room that are making impact in other parts of that cycle, but just to tell you where we feel like we can make impact. So what is an incubator? You probably hear about it. You probably have heard, some of you have maybe have heard about it more in an agricultural sense, but I did have somebody, when I told somebody I was working with an incubator that I grew up with, they're like, you mean like raising chickens? I'm like, no, not at all like that. But we are an organization really set up to just be a support network in a lot of different ways, but especially these ways with physical space. We'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. But capital, coaching, services, networking, all those opportunities, we want to be able to provide to local entrepreneurs so that they are able to be successful. And really, it is for a high growth company so that they are able to continue to grow and continue to be able to scale. So that is what the Don Ryan Center's really main core value add it really is this incubation. So what are the things that come out of that? What are some of the things that we do in this incubation program? There's a lot of different things, but I don't know, have any of you ever read this book called The E-Myth Revisited? It's basically this book that says there's three personalities of an entrepreneur. There's either the entrepreneur kind of personality, the manager, or I think it's the facilitator. And it's one of those three is probably what you are. It's essentially saying you are not hardwired to be good at all of those. And I think somebody mentioned that as well. There's things you're just not naturally going to be good at and you need support in. So there's a lot on that list, and probably one of those things, or at least one of those things, is something that we're just not hardwired to naturally know or be good at. So our goal is to go in and support entrepreneurs with those things that they're not good at and that they need structure, they need planning for, because it's a long road potentially to having a successful business, but it's a lot better when you can do it right the first time, and that's our goal. So one of the other things I heard, which was so valuable, is setting up systems and having a structure to your business, doing that right the first time. That's what we, of course, really value, and we want to make sure that businesses know when they're building their business is doing that right. So a few companies that have graduated from the incubation program, I think it's helpful to see some of these. You maybe know of some of these, but they really run the gamut. Some of these are physical products, some of these are digital products. Greenbug is a literal organic green or a sustainable bug repellent system. And so all over the place, but all with the common thread of it's innovative, which is really trying to drive forward their industry. This is something new that we started this year. It's called Launch, and it's an acceleration program. What we found is that with incubation, it can be a 12 to 18 month program sometimes, depending on what a company needs to be successful. But some people just really wanted, as I think somebody mentioned, that they just needed to go back and get some training on kind of a re-up, or kind of dip their toes in the water of what do I need to know to be an entrepreneur? Is the entrepreneurial lifestyle even for me? So this was a way that we could do this in a more curriculumized, if that's a word, way to provide kind of some basic training. We base it off of Kauffman Foundations, which is kind of the leader in nonprofit entrepreneurial education, and use guest speakers from the community. Probably many of you that would already know them, but it's really helpful to hear kind of their take and their story on it, working through it. There's office hours to meet with mentors. So it's been a great program. We're looking to do another one coming up soon, so that information is on our website as well, and also sign up, or if you're interested in hearing more about that. And this is the business retention and expansion part of what I was talking about. I think there's been a lot of interest today of, for example, the Opportunity Zone, or how do I get some of this information I need from a local level? Well, we work a lot with a lot of these organizations here that are our allies in economic development to make sure that we're all working and providing the right resources to local entrepreneurs such as yourselves. So these are our partners with that to make sure that you have what you need to be able to be successful long term. So just a little glimpse of who we work with. So going back to this chart of kind of where you might be in your life cycle of your business, this is really, I think, a good way to say that if you're at that startup phase, this is probably where incubation or that launch program is a good fit for you. It's a good way to get either education and see if entrepreneurship is a good thing for you, for your lifestyle, or you're ready to go. You're ready to get going and start planning and knock out work to make sure that you're able to take your product or your service to market. That's where incubation is a good place for you to get started. That rapid growth, you're still probably in that incubation, but you're probably making money. You're probably already in the marketplace. You know who your market is, and you're working through building some steady cash flow. But you're still maybe at that place where you're getting close to graduation from incubation, but in that program. A mature company is probably a good fit for us to go in and work with you to make sure that you have all the resources you need to be able to stay here in this market, the right kind of talent, the right real estate, all of those things that an economic development organization would do. And that's where we really provide a lot of resources there with business retention and expansion. And then I think with this is that it's really important that you continue to innovate and not get necessarily comfortable in what you're offering as a business. I think it's always important to be rethinking, how can I do what I do better, cheaper, faster, any of those things. And so that's where we say a lot of companies maybe need to go through incubation again to be able to provide some kind of new product or service to their customer base. So with that rebirth, because we don't want to be associated with that death decline there, but it's that rebirth that we really want to be part of. So that's another way that we would engage with you. So what's next for us? What are we looking to do to be able to provide better service to our community? We have a physical space, a 3,000 square foot facility opening at Buckwalter Place by the end of this year we're aiming for. So it's going to be a game changer. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But we continue to look for ways to improve our incubation, our acceleration offerings. We're constantly rethinking of that and hearing feedback from people that go through it of what things we can be providing as a resource for them so it's better. We have about 4.5 acres available at Buckwalter Place. We're going to continue to look for the right kind of industry that's going to create great jobs at Buckwalter Place. We're going to continue to market that and look for ways to find that right fit for that space. And then we're going to continue to build that community, continue to build membership in our organization. So the hub, what is the hub going to be? And you've maybe heard about this in the newspaper or on our website or anything. But it's really our economic development headquarters. This is where it's going to be kind of the center of all economic development activity in our region. We're going to provide all of our workshops there, all of our training there, private space so that you can meet with a mentor. Sometimes it's private information when you're talking about finances and stuff like that. You'd like to have a confidential place to have those conversations. There'll be plenty of that. It'll be a great place. It's just going to be a wonderful place to do business. We're really thinking about two things all the time when we're planning that space, and that's, does it inspire creativity? Does it connect people? Does it build relationship with businesses? So we're always thinking about that. It's going to be a great place. So this is what it will actually look like. This is the conceptual. On the left is, at first you're probably thinking, that's huge. Well, it's the space on the right. So that's the culinary school on the left, the TCL Culinary School. But yeah, so we have but to that point, we have some great synergy with the technical college. We think there's going to be some really cool opportunities that come out of that. And we'll share this amazing courtyard with them that will have a little cafe, a little awning patio you can see on the right side of our building. And it's just going to be a really neat atmosphere. It's going to feel like a campus, something that I think Bluffton has already should feel like it's already always been there, but it's going to feel new and really exciting and vibrant for Bluffton. So we're thrilled about that. We think it looks great. And For any of you that don't know kind of what the Buckwalter Place footprint looks like, you can see right kind of about a foot below Kroger and the Starbucks. That's our space right there on the corner. I don't know if this has a laser pointer, but right. Oh yeah, there you. Thank you for whoever's got the arrow. What's the vibe going to be of this? Like, what are we looking to try to do to make this feel exciting and different? Well, we've looked and studied about a million incubators and co-working spaces across the country, and we've tried to find the best uses of all of those, and make that kind of take the best things we can from all of those. And this is sort of the vibe you can expect. It's going to feel very collaborative, open, modern, and so these are just some kind of conceptual photos, but we just think it's like a coffee shop on steroids in a way, I think. I think it's just a really sort of neat, innovative atmosphere. So Buckwalter Place, what's going on with Buckwalter Place and sort of that land is that this is a kind of a neat conceptual drawing to show we have available space to have about two 20,000 square foot buildings out there for somebody that wanted to bring a headquarter of some sort here. This is the Bluffton Police Department, if you know that facility. That's just a great kind of addition to that whole park that really, I don't know if many of you have been able to watch the transition of Buckwalter Place over the last year, but it is just staggering to see how quickly and it's just amazing commerce park now. So this is what we're hoping to do is be able to attract the right kinds of companies to build one of those or both of those buildings out at Buckwalter Place. This is just another way of being able to look to see what that space looks like. So some of the other things that we're offering as programs is we offer sessions, which is a kind of a community gathering. It's the last Thursday of every month at Corner Perk right now at the upstairs of Corner Perk. And we have two different programs that we offer. We have either somebody tell, as we've heard today, some of the entrepreneurs telling their story. What's their experience? What were the things that were really hard for them as they built their business? What would they do differently? And then the other side of that was we have somebody come and give real life experience or training on something. Last time we had somebody do search engine optimization training. How do you get found on Google? That's one of the things everybody always says is, how come I'm on the second page of Google? There's some ways that you can do, some basic changes to be found and increase your marketing. It's real technical training like that we're trying to increase and make sure that people feel like they have availability to. So we do that the last Thursday of every month, and I'd encourage you to go to our website to find out more about those. Low Country Works is a program and a website that we've had for the last few years, and we're really putting a lot of emphasis on. Walter Wheeler, you've been very strategic in helping with a lot of the Low Country Works stuff. Thank you. Walter was one of our interns this summer and did a lot of work in helping us get this to a really good place. And so that will be a way for everyone to see where the innovative companies in our region are. What do they do? Are there job opportunities there? What are the things that we always hear is, I don't know kind of the clustering of all the innovative companies in our area. This will be a way for a map to say, we have a lot of really good job opportunities here that maybe I just didn't know about, and a lot of interesting companies doing interesting things. SC Codes is a new program through the Department of Commerce. It is free code training. If you want to learn how to code, the Department of Commerce is offering you coding education just to be able to, it's sort of the job training in their mind for the future, because a lot of people say if you had to learn another language or a second language, code is the language you should learn. It's not for everybody, but if you're interested in that, that's a really neat opportunity. And the Don Ryan Center, once we have our space, will be a host of a lot of that training for SC Code. So be on the lookout for that. And then the South Carolina Department of Commerce has been really good about wanting to work more in the communities themselves and not having everybody go to Columbia to get any kind of services that they need. They're doing what they're calling sort of like an office on wheels or something is what they're really thinking of it as, is going out to the incubation programs and the smaller communities and making sure that they're holding office hours so that those companies in that community have FaceTime with the state themselves. So we'll be a host of that as well. And again, keep kind of your ear open for opportunities to go meet the Department of Commerce when they're in Bluffton. I know they would love to meet you as well. So, and last is membership. We encourage just, if anybody's looking for a way to get involved with other people that are building companies and interested in entrepreneurship, we have a lot of different ways for you to join membership. And so we encourage you to go to donryancenter.org or .com and look for opportunities to join membership. Just, I think it's a great way to build a community, as we're always trying to do. And this just tells some of the different levels of membership. But with that, I want to answer any questions, because what I think I really want everyone to know is that this is a Bluffton resource. This is your own community, has all of this. This isn't from Columbia or Charleston coming down. And not that's a great thing to have regional partners, but this is in your backyard if you live here. And we're here to be a resource for you. So is there any questions that anybody has that we can answer and assist with?
I have one.
Sure.
So the companies that you guys have birthed, are any of those minority businesses?
What we
Businesses
yeah.
here in Bluffton?
We have a company actually going through the program right now that is a minority-owned business. And a gentleman you may know if you live in the area, Karam Tasco, is the gentleman. And what's really cool about what he's doing specifically is I know what we kind of talked about. What are the problems with taking what you hear as perceived issues with the community, and one of those is that the jobs, finding just even gig jobs, finding the right kinds of ways to get just a work for the day kind of situation. He's a contractor as well, owns some rental properties, and saw that there was a real disconnect of finding the right people to help him and the people that needed those kinds of work. He's going to build an app that's going to basically be a way that a person can hire the right kind of person to help with whatever gig they have, and it's all through escrow. So it's sort of like Uber, where there's no transaction of money in cash being made. So it feels, I think the perception might be that it's safer. It's a way for people that if you're inviting people in your home to work, they're not going to take your money and run or whatever it may be. And so this is an opportunity he's thinking for him to be safer gig jobs being offered. I'm trying to think of some of the other opportunities we've had. Greenbug is a woman-owned business. She started that as a way just to, I think, I've heard a kind of recurring theme of what reasons that you wanted to start a business. Some of it's to make some extra money, some of it's independence, and it really was, I think, for her a way to gain some independence and be able to have her own project. And so we've had a few women-owned businesses go through. But I would tell you this, that it is something that we strongly desire to have more of a presence to be able to go through that programming. I think we would love to see anybody here that wants to take an idea and run with it. We would love to hear about that. That's sort of why it's so important to us to be here today, so that we can make sure that everybody knows that resource is available and is able to use that to their success. So
Let's give him one more hand clap.
thank you.
So this next guy we have is a very talented brother. I saw him yesterday working on his presentation. And I'm always encouraged when I see people who combine great talents with great work ethic. Eric Guo is a recent graduate of the University of South Carolina, and he will be delivering a presentation on his company Pickup, which is a shopping and delivering service application that is readily available for anyone who wants a delivery driver if they're shopping online. Without further ado, let's give a hand clap and let's give a warm welcome for Eric Guo.
Good afternoon. I got notes here as an accountant. I like to be detailed, but I'll make sure to keep it short, quick, so we can find out who gets this computer. All right, so let's get started. I'm here to present Pickup on behalf of my team. Oh, wait. Oh. All right. So what is Pickup? Pickup is a shopping and delivery service application that is readily available should one need or want a personal shopper / delivery driver immediately. So my inspiration for Pickup comes from my experiences traveling to other countries. Most recently, I studied a semester abroad in Seoul, and over there, their delivery system is insane. You could get almost anything delivered to you in an hour. If you wanted something and you weren't available for any reason, or maybe you're unwilling to, leave your house, there's a service where you can call someone, send someone to go get that thing for you. Basically a customer by proxy. It was incredible. I loved the service because I didn't read a lick of Korean. I didn't know where everything was. So if I needed something, I can put that thing on Google Translate and then put it on their app and then get someone to bring it to me, and I don't even have to talk to them. So I love the service. When I got back to the States, I had my busy moments, and then I also had my lazy moments, both of which made me wish that this kind of service was in the US, but I found very little. The delivery applications that we have in the US are mostly bound to delivering one thing or another. For example, think of all the popular delivery services that we do have. That's your Grubhub, Uber Eats, Bite Squad, DoorDash. They're all delivering food. Then there's the exceptions, such as Instacart, where they deliver groceries, but they're delivering groceries from certain grocery stores and not even an exhaustive list, a complete list of their inventory, just what they think is going to sell the most. So there's too many limitations, and why can't I just tell someone to go somewhere and go get something for me? And that's what we're trying to do with Pickup. So here is actually, the pictures you will see are actually from our prototype. It is a working prototype. There are some key features missing. We are not in operation right now. It is a very early startup. So as you can see, Pickup has two basic features. One option where you can get something purchased and delivered to you, and one for when you just need something picked up. The picked up option is so that our app can be used in conjunction with other services. So let's say you wanted to order Starbucks, but you didn't want to leave. You could order your coffee from the Starbucks app, so you still get your points, and then you can just use our application to send someone to go get it for you. So this is actually the first thing you see when you log in. You make an account, you log in, and we will go through the key points of the application so that you can get a good understanding of it. It is very user-friendly. So this is the picked up option. You simply say pick up from where, you put an address, it's connected to Apple Maps. So you can just even put in the title, it'll find the closest thing with that name to you. You also select a location of drop off. That could be your current location, that could be, you could be buying for someone else. Whatever it is, you put in their location, it'll drop it off there. Simple enough. So this is picked up. This is still the pickup option. This is where you would put in the message or your instructions for the driver. Maybe, for example, you want someone to pick up your dry cleaning because you're not going to get out of work before it closes. They're going to need your ticket number, so you can send them your ticket number here. And then there's also a messaging feature encoded into the app so that it mitigate any confusion. All right, so here is the purchase option. Same thing when you hit from the first slide, from the first app screen, you enter a shopping location, one where you would normally purchase the item, and then as well as a drop-off location. We have a feature, if a user is not familiar to the area, there is an option where you can get a driver recommendation, and since the drivers are a part of the community that they are serving, they have a better understanding of the area than you do. So for example, maybe I'm not from here, I'm from Colombia. Maybe if I wanted good like Chinese food or something, I don't know the best Chinese food on here. But if I use my app, I can send, hey, I want Chinese food, someone give me a recommendation, and they can go pick it up and drop it off to my hotel. All right, this is what you see when you get started with the start shopping. It's just a extra little slide and it just says get started. You hit that button, and this is actually what you do. So you simply put in what it is you want. You can put in brand. If you don't have a preference, just slide that slider. Tell us how many you want, any additional notes, and then you add it to your shopping list. And then you can see the button on top. You can keep on adding things, and when you're ready, you can send for driver. The request goes into a pool, and then our drivers get to select if they choose to accept that order or not. It's same as how Uber and all of the other delivery service applications, well, how delivery service applications work. They get to choose if they accept the order or not. Maybe if they can't fulfill it, maybe your order is too big to fit in their car, they can ignore it and someone else would pick it up. So what's freeing about that application is that it isn't based on a set menu where only certain products or only certain stores, whatever our users may need, it can be delivered. So this is our market. Mainly so our 25 to 34 range is our new parents. These groups are the ones that we expect to benefit the most from using our service. New parents of young children is our primary target market, because let's be honest, we've seen a lot of kids be a handful out in public. If you haven't, there's a lot of viral YouTube videos that are pretty funny. We also have working professionals to consider. That's the ones who spend most of their waking hours at work. Right now, I'm currently working an accounting job where I'm up at 7, go to work at 8 to 5. By the time I get home, I'm too tired to go do my own grocery shopping. If I needed anything, I push it off till the weekend, or it could be anything else. I just got to push it off. I mean, because I only got like 3 or 4 hours of wake time before I have to go back to bed. Otherwise, I won't be functional in the morning. So our 35 to 44-year-old range are here for 2 reasons. We expect people to order for other people. Like this age range, their parents, they're older, they're grandparents at this point. So for example, my grandparents, when they go to the grocery store, they don't buy a lot anymore. They buy whatever they can carry, so they don't have to push a cart out. Instead, this group would actually order for their parents and then have it delivered to their home, so it's actually very convenient. Let's see, we also got the 18 to 24-year-olds, which is our students, which personally I love delivery services. I still do. Yesterday I actually downloaded Uber Eats because I couldn't find any parking in Savannah, Georgia, where my hotel is. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going back to my hotel, and then I'll pay a $4 fee so I can get some food delivered to me. Because I wasn't buying the hotel food. That was way too expensive. It's like $20 for a burger. I'm not about that. All right, so where we are currently at, we have a prototype. The pictures you saw are from our prototype. It is a far cry from where we want it. It's missing very key features such as being able to process payments. That is outside our expertise, but we have partnered up with a development company in Colombia, Palmetto Designs, and they are going to complete our application for the amount of money we've actually already raised. So the $20,000 we've raised in a span of a few weeks, that's actually their price range to finish our application. Yeah. We will have them begin, and it's been quoted to be 3 to 5 months upon completion. And in this time, me and my co-founders are all working the jobs we got offered while we were still in college last semester, because we didn't want to sit around for 3 to 5 months when we've already done all the back-end work that we think we need to do. When we started last year, we started with an idea, went to a couple professors, asked professors about their opinion, and built our company from there. We did everything the professors suggested, and that's actually how I ended up here. One of our professors suggested I present 2 million cups. I presented 1 million cups, and that's where I met the other Eric, and he actually brought me to the office, and here I am 1 month later. So So we've done a lot. I've actually changed the business. The idea is still the same, but the whole process of how we were going to go about it has been changed so many times. The business plan looks nothing like it was when we first conceived of the idea. Let's see. We are seeking additional funding. We are seeking additional funding because we need money for marketing activities. We plan on running the app in both Columbia and Greenville at the same time. One of our guys is actually up in Greenville right now working at a CPA firm, and he has a driver base already established. I have one ready to go in Columbia when the app goes live. So we will have our initial driver pool to start accepting orders when the app goes live. Aside from that, I think that is it. Yeah. My information is up. Oh, no, it's not. My information is up there. If you have any questions, I will take that now. Yes.
I have one. Uber, I believe, is talking about driverless cars.
About drivers what?
Driverless, no drivers. They want driverless.
Yes. So they want.
And I wonder about what you're looking at now. Is it going to be without you?
Okay. Yes. So Uber and Lyft, the ride sharing services, are looking at driverless, but that's because there's no interaction that is required for a car to pick up someone and then drop them off. Personally, I wouldn't get into a car without a driver. Yeah. I mean, I'm still part of the newer generation. I just graduated, but I still wouldn't get in a car without a driver yet. I don't trust it. No, when we mean customer by proxy, say you wanted one of our drivers to go to a local store that you like, but let's use one of my favorite places in Columbia as an example. There's a family restaurant called Just Us Cafe in KC, South Carolina. I love the place. You too? Yeah, it's so good. There are times where I'm sitting at home on a weekend and I don't want to get out, but I also want Just Us Cafe food. They don't deliver. And then the applications that are out now for food-wise, they don't deliver from Just Us because they don't know about Just Us. It's a small business, it's family-owned, and why can't I just send someone? Well, I would get a friend to, hey, are you in KC? Can you pick me up some Just Us and bring it? And sometimes they're like, yeah, and then sometimes they're like, no. But if we have an app, send someone in that place, act as a customer by proxy. They go in, they order what I want, and then they bring it to me. That's simply it. Yes, there will. Yeah, there will be the pickup option might if we could evolve to that point. The pickup option, you know how Walmart, a lot of grocery stores are having you can order online and you can just pull up and then it'll drop things off. Maybe that could be done driverless because the Walmart employees load up the car anyway, and then potentially, it's really far down the line. Yes.
Pricing wise, will you all be similar to or competitive to Instacart? You know how they'll charge you $75 initially and then just take the balance after your purchase?
Yes. So we looked at all the pricing structures, and we think we could do better than they can right now. We are planning. We'll also be paying our driver a little bit more because they take about 15-20% of the fee, and then 80% goes to the driver. So we plan on cutting back to taking 10 to 15%. It was one of those numbers as 10 to 15%. So our drivers actually end up more, and we can charge a little bit less. So it's good on both customer and driver side.
I have one question.
Yes.
So I own a transportation service company as well. That go my clothes and we transport kids. So I noticed that you mentioned helping parents pick up children. So when you start hiring, two things. From a regulatory standpoint, how will you be regulated by the state? That's the first question.
Okay. Sorry, I may have misspoke. I do not mean that we are picking up people. We are simply as a young parent, I meant that they can stay home and not have to take their kids out and get the shopping still done. Yeah.
Okay, so no picking up kids.
No. No. Yeah, so I see me when I go to the grocery store. Yeah. No. We're not picking up kids.
Second question, are you gonna hire drivers? And if you do, are you looking at them being independent drivers? Or are you gonna payroll drivers and you're trying to be more like Uber?
So right now, yes, we are doing individual contractors where they sign up, we look into their background, see if they meet our standards, and then like their driving record, et cetera. We do have requirements and we do have our criteria for them to sign up as our drivers. Right now, the 2 driver pools that we already have set up, they're close friends of ours. They're people in college. They have time. They got legal driving age, and we know them, so we don't have to do the kind of extensive background check because we've known them for a while. They will be our first few drivers, but we will be able to have more people. We will allow people to sign up to be drivers, especially like Uber and Lyft drivers. They, usually don't drive for one or the other. They drive for both because maybe someone's making. If you're driving for Uber, maybe someone's making a request on Lyft right now and you're missing out on that. There's plenty of downtime in between the apps that they actually use. Uber and Lyft drivers actually download all of them. They are also like Instacart drivers, also DoorDash and Bike Squad and all that. We did consider adding people onto payroll, but because of the margins that we are taking, we didn't think it was feasible because it would cost a lot more to make it worthwhile than to hire people.
I'm gonna give you advice. So I have an attorney.
Yep.
My attorney recommended that you do hire, they will be considered employees.
Yes.
Because you're giving them, the route, you're giving them uniform. So you gotta watch that fine line.
Yes. Yes.
And then from an insurance standpoint, will they insure their car, or is that something that you're gonna provide? That's just something that.
Yes. So we have insurance-wise, we are looking at how the other services run. So the other services, their insurance kicks in if you are on active, you are en route for an order for them, and we are planning to do the same. And like I said, we are not. We discussed hiring workers, but that is not what we agreed to do. We have discussed it, and we decided it's not the best way to start out. If we do change it later down the line, we will make the proper preparations. Any other questions?
Let's give Eric a round of applause. Get down to the wire. This is it. This is what everybody want to hear about, the money. Show me the money. Where can I get it? How can I get it? So we have a panel guest that's invited to talk to you a little bit about money. If you have questions, please make sure you write them down. We may not answer all of them, but we'll get to as many as we possibly can. Can I please have our presenters to come to the stage, please? Mr. Nate Green, Mr. Frank Knapp, Mr. Paul Feathergill. So Mr. Knapp, take it away, please, sir.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? No? Can we figure out what we did wrong? Okay. Testing 1, 2. Hello? Anything yet?
Yeah.
You can now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm Frank Knapp. I'm President, CEO, co-founder of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce. Been doing that since 2000. So I've been around a long time. I also happen to have a advertising public relations firm that I started back in 1991. So I've been in the small business market for a long time.
Hello, I'm Nat Green. I'm with the BDC, Business Development Corporation of South Carolina. Excuse me. We are SBA lenders. We have 7A product, which I can talk about briefly. I'll be able to talk about a 504, which is a real estate product for you to buy some real estate you're in. We also have a participation program where we help with down payment. We also have a program called the Rural Modernization Program, which is debt forgiveness of a percentage of the total loan amount. I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm originally from Hilton Head, Bluffton, and have now living in Aiken.
My name is Joseph Dukes. I'm with South Carolina Community Loan Fund. We are a CDFI, which is we operate as a nonprofit lender. We do loans for business. We do small business loans. We do small business loans, community facilities, healthy food initiatives, and affordable housing. Those are kind of like our wheelhouse loans. We are a statewide agency, but I represent the coastal region, so that'd be from Horry County down towards Jasper County, and the counties just west of that.
Can you guys hear me at all? Okay, great. So I'm Paul Featheringill. I am with the LDC. We are based in Charleston. We traditionally have covered a 5-county area right around Charleston and then Colleton and Williamsburg. We currently are in the process of expanding into this part of the state, also going up the coast toward Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, that area. We have small business lending that we do, kind of focused on startup businesses and then those that are kind of in the newer stage of growth and expansion. We also have recently launched an affordable housing program that is just in the city of Charleston. So we've been working with affordable housing developers as well.
I'm on the wrong panel here because I don't have any money. And I can't actually help you get money as these other gentlemen can do. One thing I will tell you is I can tell you how to save some money for your company. If you look at your folders, there's a form in there for a non-dues paying member of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce. I hope you all will take time to fill that out. When you do, you will be able to save a lot of money every year through Office Depot. We're part of a national Office Depot discount program for chambers of commerce. So I hope you will take that opportunity. It is truly free. So if you want to save some money, not cost you anything, please fill that out and get it back to me. I'm assuming there's an address on that, I believe. So do that. The issue of money is important. That's why they're here, and that's why these organizations all are trying to help entrepreneurs access capital that they need to start their business. We are in a 40-year low of startups in this country. 40-year low of startups in this country. So if you've not started up or you just started up in the last 5 years, how many meet that description? Businesses running, less than 5 years. Businesses not running, you're wanting to start a business. I'm not sure what the rest of you are here for. But we need entrepreneurs. And we need people who are enthusiastic about having a small business to provide for their family, for themselves and their family, and to create wealth. Because I will tell you from personal experience, owning your own successful small business is the best way to create wealth. Unless, of course, you're Donald Trump and we're happy to be born with it. So good for you. It is important. And if somebody would call me and say, I need help getting a small business, the first thing I would do is tell them to contact a Small Business Development Center to get a business plan together before you take it to these gentlemen here. Because they are going to need you to actually do some work and to think this through and to get some free help in putting a plan together. And then when you do that, you have the opportunity to go to your local bank. I encourage you to go to your local community bank. They may or may not do SBA loans. They all can do SBA loans. They may not want to do an SBA loan. In failing that, contact one of these three gentlemen here and let them work with you. But they are going to need you to do the work. They're not going to do it for you. And so you've got to demonstrate to them that you have the will and the determination to be successful and to put forth the effort, because owning a small business is not a 8 hours a day, take the weekend off job. It's not quite 24/7, but you do get to sleep. but it is something you are dedicated to. It's more than simply an occupation, it is your life. And building that up, you will be successful sooner than later in doing that. So having said that, and encouraging you and asking you again to fill out that form to get a free membership of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce and get that Office Depot discount program that will, I guarantee you, save you hundreds of dollars a year. I'm going to turn it over to the next gentleman.
As Frank said, and I'm going to talk about what he said real quick, and then I'm going to talk about myself and tell you how I got where I am. But I've been a banker for 35 years, lending money for businesses. And the number of people that walk into my office looking to get a loan, and you start talking to them about the loan, and they don't have any idea. They know it's an idea, and they want to get it to move forward. We really and truly want to see that you're committed to this project by having a business plan that makes sense, that has been thought out, and that you're dedicated to. And there's no final way of doing that than through the Chamber of Commerce. They'll help you with that. There's many programs they offer to help you get that business plan put together for it to make sense and for it to be something that you can sell to the banker. That's enough of that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, you're welcome. But don't come to the Chamber of Commerce. Come to the Small Business
Small
Development
Business
Center.
Chambers.
Small
I'm
Business Development
sorry.
Center.
I'm sorry.
They'll help provide free help on
Yes. I've been a banker for forever. I don't know how long I've been a banker. I don't know anything else. I've been lending money the majority of that time. I've looked at a large number of loans. I've seen companies start up that have been successful. I've seen companies that were very successful and go the other way. That's it. I've just been doing it so long. I don't even know how to explain what I do. So it's just a good idea to have a good plan together when you come see someone about borrowing money.
My path is a little bit different. I started with the Governor's Office of Small and Minority Business Assistance, which no longer exists anymore. It became the Small and Minority Business Contractor. Ms. Green spoke about it earlier today. From there, I did CDBG funds for the City of Columbia. Paul and I were both like political prisoners at the City of Columbia. From there, I started doing small business consulting on my own, and then now I'm working here at the Loan Fund, where we work with borrowers who are typically low moderate income. My job at the Loan Fund is a little bit different from like a traditional banker. We do loans for people who don't fit in a typical banker box, so to speak. We receive funds via the Community Reinvestment Act, so a lot of banks loan us money at a favorable rate, and we lend it out to business owners who may not fit in like the credit profile for a typical bank, or they may be startups or need a little bit more hand-holding than your traditional banking institution is willing to offer. The biggest issues, so to speak, that I run into when people want to borrow money hits at what these two gentlemen said before. It's like I start talking to them, and their business plan hasn't been thoroughly thought out yet. And they'll look at me like, I'm supposed to be there to help you, which is true, I am, but I can't loan you money when you haven't put time into your game plan. You watch a game on Sunday, you get mad at your coach or your quarterback if they don't know the plays in the playbook, right? So your business plan is kind of like your playbook, and it guides you from your start point to where you hope to end up, or not end up, because it always evolves, but it shows that you put some thought into your 3 and 5 year plan of your business.
All right, well, to follow up a little bit on what everybody's been saying, I've been in lending, kind of non-traditional small business lending for about 15 years now. I was in Savannah for a while doing it down there. Then, as Joseph mentioned, I was at City of Columbia for a while doing it there. And I've been at LDC for about 2.5 years now. Just to kind of give you an idea and to follow up on some of what's being said, I will emphasize, as they all have, the importance of a business plan. Since we work primarily with startups, we don't really have a financial history of your business to go on. So really, what we're looking at as lenders is, one, your personal financial history, and then two, your plan for this business and how we think it's going to go. So put a lot of thought and effort into that. Really, the more time you put into it at the beginning, the better off it's going to be for you in the long run, not just in terms of getting money, but also in terms of how successful your business is going to be. Because, I also get people that come to me because they've gotten a couple of years into their business and they're running out of money. And usually when I talk to some of those folks, it's because they started without a plan. And so, it's a lot harder to deal with those kinds of situations if you don't know. The other thing I will say, and I might be saying this to the wrong group because you all are here today, so obviously you're kind of thinking along these lines already, but there are a ton of resources out there. okay? And free resources, a lot of them too, not just for business plans, but mentors to help you with your business, attorneys, accountants, all these sorts of things, all these resources that you can tap into. So it's really important especially in the beginning, as you're getting ready or as you've just started your business, to take advantage of as many of these resources as you can. And I'll give you just one example that a lot of people don't think about. So a lot of libraries, and I know this is true in Columbia, I know this is true in Charleston, and it's true in a lot of other areas too. A lot of libraries have business resources available where you can go and you can get free business plan templates, free market data for doing a market analysis on your business plan, and people that can help you put that together. So there are different things that you can do, and we mentioned SBDC and SCORE. Those are organizations that can work with you and provide you free mentoring that will really stick with you through the life of your business. So I'm sorry, I got a little long-winded there, but take advantage of all the resources that are available out there.
Does anybody have any questions on their cards? Okay. Okay. Okay, Kamani has a question for either of you, and it is, what type of funding options are available for nonprofit organizations?
I'll take the first crack at it.
We all.
Yeah, we do fund our loan organization. We do fund nonprofits, as long as it fits into like the four loan programs that we offer, which are healthy foods, affordable housing, community facilities, or community business. Community business is kind of broad, so we can kind of use your nonprofit status to say if you're trying to offer services to the community. I'm not sure what you're trying to do, or if you're trying to build like a building. So let me ask you, are you trying to build a building, or are you trying to like get help overhead?
I just acquired the building, and after we got still owe money on the building, we're creating a training center to teach construction to people with barriers for employment. So, I obviously know you have to, like, we'll have to create a business plan. It's just usually when you go to a lender and you say the word nonprofit, they already make a face like.
Let me help you a little bit with that nonprofit part. If you walk in and say, I have a nonprofit that's interested in borrowing some money, I do have one of our board members that will help guarantee the note. That will get you a long way, because I don't know of a business, and you guys may know of a business that can write a check. I've never seen a business that can write a check, but I can know of an individual that can write a check. And that's what the guarantor does. The guarantor promises that business will have a check available for the payment. That's why you need the guarantor to help repay the loan should something go wrong.
Is there anybody else in here talk about nonprofit? You're the only one in the game. Let me just say this, that I've often thought that, and advocated that nonprofits ought to have a different, is this not working any longer? Sorry about that. Okay, so I've often advocated that nonprofits ought to also develop a different stream of revenue other than people giving them money, donors. That you, just because your organization is nonprofit doesn't mean you can't have a profit-making operation. That you can create something that's related to what you're doing, and have that be making profit that feeds back into the nonprofit. So I would encourage you to take a look at that.
Yeah, and I'll just add into that real quick. I mean, we've started doing it more recently, but we can fund nonprofits as well. So, if you have need for, working capital or anything like that related to growing your nonprofit, that certainly would be something we can consider.
The nonprofits also are typically run by a board, and that board can be very aggressive in paying back that debt. In 2 to 3 years, you may have a different board. They may not be as excited about paying back that debt back as aggressively as the previous board. That's the other hiccups kind of with nonprofits as well.
Anybody else have any questions? Let's give these gentlemen a round of applause.
And now we got some time. No, it's not working. Is it working? Here. Oh, no, here we go. So, do we get time? All right. So, while we, the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, is not a lending institution, what we do is we advocate for small businesses. We want to make South Carolina and the federal government more small business friendly. So I would encourage you to really check out that free membership deal that I've offered you and to be connected in that way. And I was serious about this being a 40-year low in startups nationally. And we don't know exactly why that is, but I'm sure it's a combination of things. But hopefully in the very near future, there'll be some research being conducted to figure that out. But you are here, and you have some ideas how to move forward. And I would encourage you, as somebody who started a small business, actually started several small businesses, first thing to do is see how you can do it with your own resources, family resources, friends. That's the most traditional way a small business gets started with money to go, and to be as frugal as possible. There are basics you're going to need depending on the type of business you have, but you want to run a lean machine, and be patient. You're not going to be paying yourself a $100,000 salary as soon as you are, because if you tell the bank that you want to use that, the money is for, then they're not going to give it to you. That money is for capitalizing your operation, not necessarily for paying you a salary. So I always tell people there's no free money out there. There's not really any grants that you're going to get. This is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into starting a business. And if that is not something you are comfortable with, then you're better off working for somebody else. Because being successful means you've got to be passionate about what you're doing and work almost 24/7, and you really have to look at all the opportunities, especially the free opportunities that have just been described, to move forward. And if you do that, you're successful, you will look back on it and go, that was the best decision that I have ever made for myself and my family. Again, I applaud your being here today and encourage you to do so. And again, you'll have that free form.
And I'll throw something in as well. So where we kind of fit in, those of us that are up here. So if you're looking to start a business, or you are less than 2 years old, let's say, it is going to be very difficult for you to go to a traditional bank and get financing. If you try to go to your bank, whoever you bank with, and get a business loan, for a lot of different reasons, mostly related to time in business and that sort of thing, it's extremely difficult to do that. But that's where groups like those of us that are sitting up here, that's where we fit in. There are alternative lenders out there, so you need to kind of be careful, because there are some situations you can get into with some lenders that can be kind of difficult, but there are some of us out there that are really pretty good lenders. And I know Joseph and I both, at least we have tables set up across the hall with some information about our program. So if you think you might be interested in getting financing to start a business anytime soon, come check us out.
Something else that can also be helpful when you have a business and you go to the bank and you may not have that 2-year period, or you're just at that 2-year period of cash flow and tax returns, is to bring a spouse on that may have a job, an outside job, let's say a nurse, a teacher, a lawyer, or whatever that might be. They can help make that loan get approved, because that is extra income coming to your position for repayment. So consider your spouse if you like them that well, or they're willing to do it.
Yeah. Oftentimes, the biggest obstacle for a lot of startup businesses, at least I know, especially with, I guess, younger people, is that they want to pay themselves a ton of money, and they want to have the newest of everything. And that looks good, but ultimately, when the loan payment becomes due, it becomes a burden on the business, and it's a big reason why a lot of businesses fail. They fail to be frugal on the front end so they can pay themselves on the back end. And part two of that is that they kind of become burdened by the debt. So they're I don't want to use the term overworking themselves, but their work quality goes down because they're trying to take on too many jobs that they don't have the capacity to meet. So you want to be as thoughtful as possible about how you build your business.
One of the questions that I think many of us have is that for years we always knew you have to have a business plan. The other part, you have to have good credit. And even with those two obstacles already fulfilled, you still get said, it gets told, but you don't have enough capital, or you don't have this, or you don't have that. What are the barriers that you guys are going to bring? What are options you guys are bringing to bring down some of those barriers, especially for minority business owners?
I'll take that one. When I first started looking, I'll give you some background. I'm not a traditional lender. I didn't come into this like Paul, where I was doing it for a couple years. Honestly, I was doing business plans and small business consulting and things of that nature. And one of the first ones I did was a business that's not too far from here. It's called Austin Transportation in Williamson. When they came to me, they lived in a trailer home and they didn't own the land that it was on. So they literally had no collateral. But it was a trucking company, so the business was making money. Like I could see that the business was growing. They just wanted money to get a new truck. They were spending roughly, let's say $25,000, $30,000 a month and just try to keep the truck on the road. We're not talking about fuel, we're talking about like repairs and everything. That's how it did. But they were making enough where they could sustain that, but ultimately the truck was going to give out. So it took about 6 months for them to get the collateral in place. Like typically for us, we ask for 80-20. We want you to bring at least 20% equity to a deal so we can loan you the money. Now at the loan fund, we will be a little more flexible. Like we may go down to 12 or 10%, but ideally we want you to go 20%. But with the Austins, we took the time, I did technical assistance with them, and I kind of walked them through the process. As they made money, I said, hey, you can go do X, Y, Z. So they went out, they bought a lot of land to put their business on, to bring up their equity. They were one of I think their parents gave them a lot of land, and they came to the deal with 20%. Now, ideally, some people don't have anyone they can call on, so that's kind of why we can try to massage the numbers, because that's where we fit. We were allocated a loan from Wells Fargo, even though sometimes people call it blood money with Wells Fargo. We're thankful for Wells Fargo because they gave us the opportunity to do more quote-unquote riskier loans and keep the same interest rate, where we can do a 10% loan. You can come in with 10% to the deal instead of a typical 20%, where we can loan money to you. So there's ways to do it. It's just that we need the borrower to be kind of patient for people like us, because we're in the non-profit realm.
Okay, you also mentioned that there was alternative lending, right?
Well, alternative lending is not the lending you want to go out. We talk about like payday loans.
Yeah. So alternative lending is not, does that mean that you pay more interest on that money than the bank will give you?
Well, for the capital that we lend out, there's typically going to be a little bit more, like where a bank might be able to do it at the current time interest rate, like I think it's 5.25. Our average loan is like 7.25. The reason why is that because we the community residents, like let's say the bank loaned us the money at 2%, we had to make sure we could pay them back, along with being able to keep people like me employed. I have a daughter, so I like to keep her fed.
You're just making the spread.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I could add a little bit to what you said, Joseph. What we really do is we are looking to kind of balance things off, for lack of a better way to put that. So, we are going to, we have, yes, we would like to see collateral. Yes, we would like to see investment. Yes, we would like to see years of experience in the industry and all of these kinds of things. We look at credit score, we look at net worth, we look at guarantors. But what we really try to do is sit down and work through it with you to determine, okay, these are areas where you're strong and these are areas where maybe you're not so strong. And do the areas where you're strong, whatever those happen to be, outweigh where they're weak. For example, we would like the credit score to be at least 575, but we've done loans in the 400s before. For, depending on what the overall picture looks like. Same thing with collateral, same thing with owner investment. It just really kind of depends on the overall situation. And the other thing I would say is, and Joseph kind of alluded to this with them too, one of the things that differentiates us from a lot of lenders is the technical assistance that we offer. So we will work with you not just on the business plan, but also on kind of, not just, we will work with you after you get a loan on helping your business be successful. And Charlie O'Brien with our offices, wave your hand, Charlie. He's sitting out here in the crowd. That's kind of what he does. But I bring him in, or I try to bring him in at the beginning when I'm meeting with folks as well, so that we can kind of help you, work through your application process and get some help on maybe where we need to get you ready to apply for funding.
A lot of people who come to us, I'm sure Paul encounters the same thing, that they kind of want to hide their, like, quote unquote financial sins, like the mistakes that they've made. And that's not the right approach, because eventually we're going to find out through the underwriting process. I tell people on the front end, if you're honest with me at the front, I can probably help you. But if I find something, you try to hide it from me, then I know I really can't trust you. Because you didn't, I told you in the front end, like, I've heard it all. I literally heard it all. Like, of course, I've done loans with people with a 500 credit score, and they just didn't pay their medical bills. And I'll ask why, and we would try to figure out, like, hey, I need you to address this payment history. The loan may not happen on the timeline that you have, but it can still happen if you just work. But if you're going to come in and try to conceal the information and not be forthright about what's going on with you, then I can't help you. I'll give you an example. The two disqualifiers, and they're not permanent disqualifiers for us, is that you can't have a current tax lien or a current bankruptcy. It's the most flagrant thing you can have on your credit report is one of those two things. So I don't pull credit. So you go to Chance Union, wherever to get your credit report, you bring it into me, I'll look through it, I'll look at the score, and then I'll make sure you don't have a current tax lien or a bankruptcy. So I look at the person's credit report, first thing I see is that they were in bankruptcy. And I was like, I had to come, so I can't trust you now because you just straight up lied to me when I told you these are the two disqualifiers, tell me what's going on. So all that I ask for, what we do is that you try to be as honest as possible on the front end, and we can have an honest discussion and try to help you move forward.
Yeah, well, really, I need to make a comment, if you don't mind. My name is Larry Coleman. I'm the president and CEO of the Beaufort County Black Chamber of Commerce. And we are a CDFI, which is Community Development Financial Institution. And what we've done, and when we look at credit, when we look at a loan, your credit score is secondary because of the fact that most of our credit has been messed up since 2007 because of banks. So credit score is secondary with us. Collateral is first with us. We look at 20 to 25% collateral. We get creative. If you have jewelry, we've taken jewelry that has been looked at and graded or whatever, and we'll accept that as a loan. We'll take a second on a loan. We loan up $5,000 to $100,000. We get you loan ready. We have technical assistance from the start of your loan to get your loan ready, and we have technical assistance after. We made a total of $1.6 million in loans in the past 4 years, over 47 loans. And like I said, we know your credit is messed up. So that's secondary with us. It's looking at the payback and your collateral.
We have another question over here.
Yes, for Mr. Green?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a few minutes ago you mentioned something about loans for...
the Rural Modernization Program?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Talking about money.
I was trying to get
like a cash flow. And the reason of my question is this. Once you get into a minority business, you have an opportunity to apply for federal government or state contracts. Mm-hmm. Or certain companies. I'm telling you this because I work for Wells Fargo, mm-hmm. and they sometimes they push a little bit to get someone into this get certified for these entities, right? So if you bid for them, if you bid for a project and you get that project and you get the contract. Let's say for Sheetrock, right? Whatever. You get the contract. Some companies, or especially federal government or state government, sometimes takes 60, 90 to 120 days to pay, and that can bury you right from the beginning.
Sure.
So
is that contract a federal government contract? If I bring that contract to you, I mean, is it something that you can help with, cash flow?
No.
Oh,
No, I was going to go along, I was going to go way down this road here. Hang around, come back over there, and come back in here, and quick answer, no.
Let me talk to the guy next to you.
What you really need is a revolving line of credit.
I understand.
And we use that in some banks, in some places, we take that contract and use it as your collateral for a revolver.
Right. Okay.
But my program, none of the programs I have do that. No.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
And you have to be very careful with those things. You can get in trouble with one of those quickly, very quickly.
I did that job a few years ago for Gulfstream cooler, and I had to get a PMP bond, which was extremely painful to get. But I got it. Once I got a contract, and I was like all excited because I got a $1 million contract.
It turned out that they're taking 90 to 120 days to pay. So I had to carry $30,000 a week payroll.
Yeah.
Which can be a pain.
Yeah, it certainly can be, and that's the nature of getting into those types of contracts. While it's good money, and you will be paid, it may just be on a long time. It may be on a longer cycle than you're accustomed to, or it's something you live with. Again, that's some banks will take that contract as collateral and give you a revolving line of credit. I don't know if you guys can do that. I can't do that.
Unfortunately, we don't do that as of right now. Like, we do lines of credit, but as far as taking a contract as collateral, unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
We could potentially do it. My only concern would be how big of an amount of money we can do, just based on our resources.
Right.
I mean, if you were looking at something, say, under $100,000,
right,
about 100,000 or under, that might be something that we could consider.
Right. No,
if you need more than that.
The reason, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
The reason that I'm asking you this because I mean, as a entrepreneur, you start with the small projects. But I got this $5 million project because I have the capability to do something like that. But I didn't count on having 120 days, in payment. But I did made it. But I mean, I'm saying that for a small business or a minority business, you can apply for some of these jobs, and you have a better chance to get it from somebody else. No matter what race you are, you have a better chance to get some of those contracts because of your minority. So that's what we do.
I have a question from Mr. Ken. Do you give advice on how much capital he would really need if he come to you? That's for any of you.
Oh, I do. I kind of look at the numbers that you presented to me and try to make sure you're not borrowing more than you take on. The good thing about working for the loan fund, I don't get paid off the loans that we do. Ultimately, my job is to try to be a good steward for the organization by doing loans that can be paid back. And we want to see businesses that we serve thrive. So typically, if I feel someone's like borrowing more than they need, I'll tell them you probably need to scale it down a little bit because I don't want you to take on more debt than your business really could handle.
We can do the same thing, but we also will increase the amount sometimes that people are asking for because, we have situations, and I understand, a lot of people are debt averse. Sometimes people feel like, well, the less I ask for, the more likely I am to get approved. But the reality is, from my perspective and for all of us up here, what we really want to see is we want you to be successful. And, Charlie can tell you the number of times I've sat down across the table from somebody and said, well, you're asking me for 40,000, but I really think you mean 70 or 80 or, whatever it happens to be because, business is being undercapitalized, and especially in that first year or two when your cash flow needs are going to be most important. That's really something we try to be careful to avoid.
And I've certainly seen the same thing with business. I'm sorry. I've certainly seen the same thing with businesses that have been around 10 and 15 years. I have lent them money to work them out of a problem that they've gotten themselves into. And that's not unusual that it happens even with experienced entrepreneurs and business owners. That things change, times change, and all of a sudden you're in trouble with something and you need more capital to get out of this situation. And I have certainly been a part of that.
Especially now with the tariffs and some of the construction costs have been vacillating, and so you go into thinking a project's going to cost this, and you don't have your costs already controlled or locked in, and then you get into it, and your costs skyrocket, and you kind of like holding the bag and need more capital to complete a job.
Anybody built a house recently? Lumber in the last 6 months is almost double what it was. So you need to, it's a changing world. You got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, if you're in construction, make sure you have those costs as controlled. Like this, you already have a locked-in agreement on how much you're going to be paying for the material. A lot of the lumber companies and steel companies that allow you to do that. And but with the tariffs, it's kind of dicey.
It's going to be a new game.
Yeah, the game has changed. Like you just can't go in and expect to pay one thing when it literally can change overnight.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp, what are the advantages or the benefits for a small business owner joining the South Carolina Small Business Chamber?
Advantages?
Or the benefits?
Sorry, I had to borrow a microphone.
Sure, sorry.
So again, we are an advocacy organization. We do have a couple small benefits to our members, including the Office Depot discount program. We do have a work with a credit card processing company that gives us our members a reduced rate. We also have a payroll company that gives our members a reduced rate. So those are available to you. But people join us really for our advocacy. And all our issues are on our website if you want to go look at it. But it is you just use the issue of the tariff issue. We aren't involved in the tariff war, but you don't have to read too much to know that it is threatening our economy, and that you really ought to be up on these things. You talk to people, you have family, weigh in on some of these issues that are going to impact you. The 2017 tax law that was passed in December of 2017. How many of y'all got a lot of money out there? But that's what it was promised, especially if you have a small business. We were promised that you were going to really do well because the economy is going to do so well. $4,000 average to an average family was going to increase their take home, and it didn't materialize. But you could have been up on the front end of that and articulated your positions, because we did. I also co-chair the Businesses for Responsible Tax Reform. It's a national coalition. You ought to be involved in that. Yes, you have to run your business and you have to devote your time to it, but don't let what's going on in Washington impact you without you weighing in. It is so important for small businesses, and I guess that's what we do. We do give voice to the general interests of small businesses on policy, both state, mostly state and federal policies. And we've been very successful over the years. We punch above our weight class. We don't have a lot of money. We operate like a small business, just like you. That's why we ask people to join us. Don't join us because you're going to network, because we don't have meetings because we're statewide. But we will keep you informed through the digital world, through emails and social media. So that doesn't help you with what this is about being successful and getting some money. But what happens in Washington and at the state level impacts whether you'll be able to pay back that loan eventually if you get it. So thank you.
Very good question. So Mr. Nat Green, Joseph Duke, and Paul Fethergill, if I come to you as a small business owner and I need a loan, what is your checkoff list? What should I have to bring to you so that we don't waste each other's time? What do I need?
I'm going to go first. I need to see a business plan,
okay.
A thought-out business plan, a doable business plan. And I can put a business plan together for you that is shiny and pretty and got colors, and it's just a wonderful thing. But it may not make a lick of sense. So it's got to work. That's the first thing I'm going to want to see is a good business plan and I want to see someone that is dedicated. If you have a good business plan and it makes sense, that tells me you're dedicated to the program.
To piggyback what Mr. Green said, I'm looking at the business plan. Excuse me, I'm looking at the business. I'm going to ask you questions in our initial meeting to see kind of where your head is and how serious you are about it. But ultimately, as I go through your business plan, it's going to tell me a lot more about you, the person that did in our initial meeting. So I'd say come in. I won't say don't talk to me if you don't have a business plan, because that's not true. You can talk to me. I will help you. I will refer you to SCORE or SBDC, as Paul said earlier. But ultimately, when it's time to talk about terms and do a structured loan or potentially doing a loan, I want to see a well thought out business plan.
Yeah, I would agree with that as far as the business plan goes, and I would add, write it yourself. It's great to get help with it. We certainly encourage that, but I guess what I mean is there's services out there that you can go to where you can purchase a business plan or someone will write it for you. We encourage you not to do that, because if you haven't written it yourself, then you haven't really learned, gone through the process and learned. But then beyond that, if you're looking at what you would need to have prepared or have on hand to actually put in an application, I would say 2 years of tax returns, current bank statement, a personal financial statement, which I can give you a form of. You can get all this information on our website. A resume, an employment history. That's pretty much it. But those are the kinds of documents you're going to want to be able to either have together or have access to. And it's pretty similar for all of us, So if you bring all that stuff and you come apply to me and, you decide you want to go over and apply to Joseph, it's going to be a similar sort of process.
On your business plan, more doesn't necessarily mean better. We don't need 40 pages of something you can tell us.
Is there a difference in personal credit score versus business credit score?
Well, for us, it depends. If you've been in business for a year, then we're going to ask you to do your Dun & Bradstreet report. A lot of new businesses, particularly in their first year, they don't report the Dun & Bradstreet. I advise you too, it's good to show that you thought about it and you could say, hey, you can pull my Dun & Bradstreet report, show that you've been paying your bills. For most of the business I deal with, they're not reporting Dun & Bradstreet yet. It's going to be your personal credit. Again, I'm going to look at it, but I've done loans for people with a 500 credit score. It's not the end all be all. It's not what I'm looking at to determine if we're going to talk further. I'm looking at, if you hand me an application, did you take the time to go through the checklist that's in it to make sure I get all the attachments? Did you think about your business plan? I have a story about business plans. 2 different times I did loans with construction companies, or they were looking at the loans for me, and they came in with like a template that they got offline. So they come in, it has the same front, everything like that. So I'm going through the business plan, so I asked them a simple question about like, what is your mission statement? Same identical mission statement, same everything. All they did was take out whatever, I guess the blank was there, and they inserted their business name. And I already knew they weren't serious about their business. So I can't do a loan with you because you didn't take the time to even write your business plan. There's too many resources out there, free resources out there to help you with it for you. You know, to take a day or 2 or a week just to plot out a business plan.
No doubt.
Especially when you could talk to someone like me or Paul free of charge and ask a million questions about what needs to be in the business plan and tailor it to what we're looking for.
And I would also say, just like anybody would tell you before you go to borrow money, whether it's for a business or to buy a house or to buy a car or anything else, pull your credit report and know what's on it before you go, because a lot of times what you're going to find is there are things on there that aren't accurate or that shouldn't be on there that you can clear up before you even come to see us.
We have a question over here.
I'm Nate Pringle with the Call to Action. Probably going to ask a question that everybody's thinking. You said you need a good business plan. Don't go to a professional to write it. Write it yourself. So what does a good business plan look like?
I don't think we're saying don't go to a professional to write it. A professional should kind of guide you through it, like what should be in it. But there should be some sweat equity into your business plan. It shouldn't be something where someone writes it for you. It should be something that speaks about the person that you are, the business that you hope to bring to creation or further. What should be in that business plan is that it should show that you have analyzed the competition in your market. It should show your projections for your business, how a potential loan with me or Paul or Mr. Green stands to help your business, and it also should reflect your business history if you have one.
And I would also want to see why, something that indicates to us why you will be successful doing this business. What's what's your passion, what's your reason, what drew you into this, that made you want to do this to start with, and kind of what's your background or experience, or who are you working with that'll lead us to believe that you can do this successfully.
Our loans go to a loan committee, and a lot of times they might ask to see a copy of business plan, or like part of the credit memo, I'm going to draft, it's going to use parts of your business plan. So for me to be the best advocate for you, your business plan needs to be the advocate that when you're not there to talk to me, I can go to the business plan and say, this person needs this, and making that this business plan speaks for them.
I have a question. You said that you fund people with credit scores in 500s. So if I had a business plan and my credit score wasn't that, will the interest rate be higher because of the credit score is not?
Well, for us, and I think most of us, we have like a risk rating chart, and our risk rating chart has different, I use the word attributes. So it's going to look at how long you've been in business, your credit worthiness, your reputation, trying to think of another attribute in it, and it's going to rate like what type of field, if there's a ton of competition in the field, like what's the risk of us you opening a business. Like restaurants have like a high failure rate, so that's me on the riskier end of type of businesses. Sorry? I promise it did not break. And if it did, I won't be here after.
He doesn't know that. He does not know that.
But so in regards to interest rate, when I go to loan committee, I typically advocate for like the 7.7, we'll use 7.25, which is like the average loan interest rate where our loan fund doesn't lose any money. But once I go through advocating for you to do a loan, the loan committee decides what the interest rate is going to be for the loan. So like if your projections look a little on the high end, then it might be a little riskier because they may think you're not being as practical about your loan, and it may go up. For us, the highest possible interest rate is go 4 points above prime. So it can go as high as 9.25 and as low as 5.25, but typically no one gets 5.25 because I got a daughter.
It's the same thing for us. We have a 10-point risk rating scale that we'll rate you on. So in other words, we have 10 different factors and we rate each one from 1 to 5, and then depending on what your average is. And again, it's one of those things where, like say your credit's not as good, but you've got a lot of money to put in, or like, say you don't have as much collateral, but you've got good credit, or you've got an outside guarantor. Those are all things that we can then factor in. And so, we have about a 2-point variation in rate depending on where you risk. We're pretty much 2 to 3 points. We're pretty much going to be somewhere between probably 7 and 9%, somewhere in there. So, but it's based on a lot of different factors.
This will be the last question for you, gentlemen.
And actually, it's more of a statement than a question. But I was just going to give some advice. And back in 2014, when I wanted to buy a building, I sought help to build my credit so that I could do that. And so my recommendation, if you're not in a position to get a loan, seek help, because there are banks that provide credit counseling or financial counseling, because at the end of the day, they want to make sure you can pay that money back. So they're going to look at not only your credit score and the business plan, but your cash flow in your business. How are you able to pay that loan back? And another thing, please know your financials. Because when you sit with a bank or a banker or with financial institutions, and you got this beautiful spreadsheet with numbers that look really good, and you can't explain your business and your numbers, you won't get the loan. So you gotta know your financials. So you have to be prepared when you go sit with them. There's things that you need to work on first before you do that. But also remember, you can do it. You just need to work on it. So that's my advice. That's how Paul helped me buy my first commercial building. And I learned a lot through that process. But I went through financial counseling for 6 months to get my credit where it needed to be and differentiate between personal and business credit and really know what that means for not only me, but for my business. That's my advice.
Great. You can always see Miss Sharon Brown if you need some financial assistance. Thank you all. Thank you all for participating in this panel discussions. Thank you, our guests, presenters, our panelists for being here. Let's give them a round of applause. You can contact them. I do have their contact information. They did, I think, provide you with some handouts. Please, if you're serious about your business, and we brought you all some great presenters today, and panelists. You couldn't have asked for better. Free of charge. Let me just throw that in there. So take advantage of this. Take advantage of all the resources we provided to you all. So I'm going to let Dr. DaCosta close us out. Again, I thank you all. And they travel far. We're not next door, just to let you know. Some of us are almost 3 hours away. So we're dedicated to come here today to share this information with you. So take advantage of it.